Hello. So one more quick video for today. So we're actually already at the end of the statistics and data unit. With the game theory, that would be the last one. So I want to post a video about kind of recap of this unit and wanted to describe what we'll do for the rest of the quarter. So let's do the recap of the statistics. Okay. So some basic things that you should be able to do for the quiz that's coming up. So uh, this is Friday. So we'll have a statistics unit quiz on the following Friday, and what you should. So we did a few different worksheets. So the first worksheet was on correlation. And spurious correlation, and the correlation is not the same as the causation. So those are the two basic statistical facts that you should definitely know and be able to articulate. You should the next thing we did was Simpson's paradox. So in that worksheet we did a lot of who does better depending on different groupings. So you should be able to compute success rate overall or success rate within a category. So maybe it's phrased in terms of batting averages or assassins being able to kill their target. But you should be able to do that type of basic mathematics, arithmetic, to compute which is better in which situation. We also talked about gerrymandering. So if I give you like a toy map, you should be able to divide it into different regions where one political party has an advantage, and they'll get more majority regions compared to the other color. So I want you to be able to know how to gerrymander, and maybe the terms associated with it. There's technical terms like cracking or packing to make the opponent political party waste their votes. And I want you to be able to compute efficiency gap. So that's the difference in the percentage of wasted votes between the two parties. So you should be able to compute it. You should also know some basic graph theory definitions and terms, like the number of incidences to each vertex is the number of edges coming out of it, and also like what does it mean by distance between two vertices in a graph. And you should know some basic results of the graph theory that's discussed in that worksheet and the video. We also discussed different types of election methods. So in particular, we focused on 4 different election systems. So if I give you like a preference schedule for a particular election, I want you to be able to compute who the winners are and show the work for these 4 types of election systems. So plurality, instant runoff, Borda count, and pairwise comparison. So each of them care about different aspects, right? So plurality cares about who's the most number 1 popular candidate. The instant runoff cares about who is the least disliked candidate. Borda count cares about like the balance of different people's preferences, and then try to balance out, give different points to different places that each voter gave. And pairwise comparison cares about which candidate tends to be preferred when you put it against another candidate. So those four are very reasonable ways to compute election results, although they come up with different results. So you should be able to compute them. You should know about some basic game theory definitions and terms and what it's about. You know, it's not about Animal Crossing or Call of Duty, right? So what is the game theory actually about? And some terms associated with it, like Nash equilibrium, you should be able to define it. You should also be able to define tit for tat strategy. We discussed that in the video as well. And as far as the actual paradoxes that's discussed in this unit, so you should be able to recognize different paradox and identify what they are by name, and also how to resolve it or how to explain that situation. So Simpson's paradox is about one side looking favored when you break the situation up into different categories, although it's possible that overall the other is doing better. So you just have to know that that's actually possible in statistics. Different ways of looking at it could shed light on one side being better over the other. So you have to be more intelligent about how you should look at a data and why you should look at it that way to decide for yourself which is better. So friendship paradox is about a situation where your friends seem to have, on average, more friends than you do. So this is a paradoxical type of situation where you might feel insecure that my friends have more friends and maybe I'm not so popular. But really, that's just a situation in graphs that tends to happen. So more popular friend or the person with more edges coming out of it tends to be on other people's neighbors more often. So they tend to pull up the average. And you should be able to describe why that happens. And when that paradox doesn't happen. So who tends to have more friends than their friends? Right? You should be able to identify that just by looking at a graph. So Arrow's paradox is all about a situation where like there's no perfect fair election system. Each election system that's mentioned previously sometimes encourage people to lie about their preference to try to make your candidate win. You might have a situation where if the candidate drops out or if the candidate gets added to a situation, that might change the society's preference. These situations that seems undesirable as far as the election system goes, it's actually unavoidable. So if we want to have an election system that you think it's as fair as it can be, you have to relax some of those fairness conditions that you might be able to poke a hole on the system, but you have to set out with something, right? So you should be able to describe what Arrow's impossibility theorem is saying. And also you should be able to describe what prisoner's dilemma is. So situation where people are encouraged to make a decision that hurt each other. And we also discussed Robert Axelrod's best response to prisoner's dilemma when it's a repeated prisoner's dilemma situation. How can you do best? How can you cooperate as much as you can while playing good defense. So you should be able to describe all of those on a quiz. And as far as logical fallacies go, this unit spanned 2 weeks, so that we covered 4 different logical fallacies. So you should know what all of these are. You should also be able to do not only describe but identify if somebody's making this type of logical fallacy. You should be able to name them. And actually, there was one logical fallacy that made a callback, right? When we were talking about spurious correlations, that type of argument you can make with spurious correlations is not a cause for a cause, right? So maybe you should remind yourself what that fallacy was and know how it relates to correlations. Okay, so that's all you really have to know for the unit quiz next Friday. But since we're getting closer to the end of the quarter, I want to say a couple words about what's left. So you will have to do the paradox project. So I will post the paradox assignment as soon as I can, and hopefully I could post it along with this video. So if it's not posted today already, it should be posted very soon, maybe next day. So you will have to make a worksheet, and it will be part of next week's homework to post like a draft of the worksheet that goes along with the paradox that you're assigned. So you'll have 1 week to try to learn about the paradox that you were assigned and write the best worksheet and activity that kind of goes along with it. And you will post this to a discussion board that's shared by the class. And you'll get an opportunity to read other people's worksheets and kind of give feedback on whether you were able to follow the activity, you understood the paradox, and see if it made sense to you. So you'll get a chance to give each other feedback with the draft. And then if you're giving feedback, that means your worksheet will have some feedback as well. So you can take in those feedback and update your worksheet and finish your paradox project before you turn it in for the last time. So that's what we'll be focusing on for the next 2 weeks. And along with that, we'll have 2 more units. So it's going to be very short units. We'll spend about 1 week on visual and audio paradoxes, so perception type of paradoxes. So we'll do that. And then in the last week, we'll talk about a couple of paradoxes that comes from some paradoxes of infinity and infinitesimal, like something that's infinitely big that gives you a paradoxical situation, or something that's infinitely small that might give you a different type of paradoxical situation. So because everything kind of coming to an end, these 2 are very short units. We will not have an individual unit quiz. What we'll do is after the unit quiz on statistics, the last 2 units will be included in the final quiz, although the final quiz is going to be comprehensive. So I'm going to ask you questions from earlier units like logic, probability, statistics, as well as the visual paradoxes and infinity paradoxes. So those will all be covered on the final quiz. But the final quiz will be in a similar situation. It's going to be a take-home one where you'll have 1 day to download, work on, and submit. But it's not going to be, it's not going to, I'll give you one day, but it's not going to take you all day. Kind of like how we did with the other quizzes. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. Please send me some questions if you're not sure about what's going to be there for the rest of the quarter. And I'll see you next week. Bye.